êtes une spécialiste de la permaculture, de la résilience. Vous faites partie de nos fabuleux copilotes qui sont là pendant 15 jours. Merci d'être là, déjà. Et j'aimerais savoir comment vous considérez justement cette question de la déconnexion homme-nature. Qu'est-ce qui vous a juste un jour fait prendre conscience de ça?
In English, it's fine.
Yes, in English, of course.
Welcome, Janell. Perhaps you would like to react to what you've been hearing, or say what you would like. We could share the microphone there. It's closer.
I know, but it's died out.
There we go.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I want to say it's an honor to be here on stage with you. You've been my longest standing shiro since I was probably 30 years ago. So it's good to share a mic with you. So yeah, there's so much that is being shared here that echoes what's true in my heart and what I'm excited to share tonight. So I'm going to start by reading something, and then I'm going to guide us through a meditation. So this question of humanity and nature. Why are you here? Why have you chosen to be on this planet in this time? I believe that we are all here for a reason. Each of us. We are all here to be part of the great healing. We live in an intelligent universe. To be here right now is a profound invitation. It is the greatest invitation of our times. In order for us to honor this, we must remember that we are part of the intelligent universe. We're not separate at all, but part of the fabric of existence, of life, of this brilliant, intelligent, whole, gracious, and generous universe and earth. Ourselves as whole humans, as part of the whole, remembering the dignity and right of our indigeneity, our very being as part of this beautiful living planet. As we ask the question about how to connect humanity and nature, I want to focus on our hearts and our connection to place. How can each of us reconnect the dots to our very being, within ourselves, within our communities, and within the world around us? Most of all, within the understanding that we and us and the world, we are nature. We are not separate from it. We are nature. This is most important to understand. It's been said already, and we'll say it again. We are nature. What would happen if each of us tuned into our deepest heart's calling and brought that alive? What is your greatest potential from the very heart of your being? The unique gift that only you can bring. You must live this to the fullest. Not as a separate part, as if we live in a mechanistic world, but as part of the whole. The living, gorgeous, Gaia, interconnected wholeness of this consciously divine living earth. Imagine if the people around you who've achieved so many great things didn't honor the gift that they are and see what one person, what any one of us is capable of. So us tuning into our heart's calling, this is what we must do. Our hearts are part of nature as well. And if we're each here, we're each part of this intelligent universe. The intelligence is in our hearts, and it's when we separate from that that we lose our path, we get lost. But when we come back to this place and we listen deeply, we get really present, then we can begin to live that truth, and that truth is part of the greater fabric. So whether you are an artist or an organizer, a scientist or a healer, a teacher or a farmer, a mother, or a media maven. Whatever you are, you must live this as part of the understanding that you are the gift that makes up the integrated web of life. To be alive in this time and to be part of the great healing, we must remember that we are all part of this something that is much greater. And each of us must bring this gift. So this comes with one caveat, that anything and everything that we do be from the deep knowing that we are not only connected to nature, but again, that we are part of it. We are an integral part of her aliveness. How we honor ourselves, how we honor our bodies, how we honor our lovers, how we honor our communities, how we honor our work, it is all part of the perfection of nature. We must remember this. Is it not time again and finally to remember our indigeneity, our place as humans within the interconnected web that is life? This is the great invitation of our times. I call this the modern indigenous. What does it mean to be living as a modern indigenous being on this earth? So I'm going to ask this question, and it was so perfectly alluded to here. What is it that we most want? And there was a study done that asked this question. Are we, as humans, do we want wealth? Do we want health? Do we want, wealth, health, and happiness? What is it that we want the most? And happiness is the thing that we want the most, to be happy. Are we finding it through the consumptive culture of dis-ease? I don't think so. There's so much loneliness, so much sadness and depression in the modern world. So how is it that we find our happiness again? Where is that thing that we call happiness, and how many of us are really connected to it? So I want to take a moment and invite all of us here to close our eyes for a moment. So I invite you to close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, take a moment to go within and to go to a place that either you've been before or you might find in your imagination right now. And this is a place where you feel this deep connection to your own sense of wholeness. This is a place where you feel a deep sense of peace from within. And this place that you've found, this place that you are going to right now, is a place where your happiness exists. It's reflected to you. So take a moment as you connect with this place and see what you notice about it. What are the details? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? And from this place, what's happening in this place? What can you notice? Any other details? And does this place have a message for you, something that it wants to tell you? So just take another moment to be in this place, to present yourself. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. So now I'd like to ask, how many of you were standing on asphalt? Anybody? And how many of you were under, let's say, the fluorescent lighting? How many of you were surrounded by concrete? And how many of you were in the sunlight? How many of you had water around you? Look around, see how many hands are up. Not a single hand went up until we got to nature. How many heard the birds and the trees? How many were amongst your loved ones? So it's really beautiful. I've done this with people from over 50 countries, thousands of people. Doesn't matter where we come from, who we are, whether we're villagers or professionals living in the big cities, we all come to nature to connect with our peace, with the sense of our deepest being. So I want to say welcome, Earthlings. Welcome, Earthlings.
Thank you, Janell. That was beautiful. A question that comes to mind that we often hear is, does reconnecting with nature mean that we have to give up our modern advances?
Modern regressions. Because if they were advances, we wouldn't need to give them up.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think, when we talk about finding our way back to paradise or to this balance, it's not back, it's forward. And the technologies that are appropriate for humanity, for Earthlings, will make sense and will be part of the interconnected web, not damaging to it. I mean, there's very simple metrics for us to measure what works in a world that works for all. And when we talk about permaculture or resilient living or regenerative design or biomimicry, all of these things have a metrics of understanding that if something is left polluting or trashing us and our nature and this earth, then it doesn't make sense. And here's the thing, we have all the solutions we need. We have all the tools we need. We have all the intelligence, every solution we need to make this work, we have it. And it's really about us dedicating and turning our attention to it collectively and individually. There's so many examples. It's something like 5 years I would give it of us actually really focusing our collective attention to creating the balance. And in 5 years, how much we could accomplish. I want to give the example of one community that Tamara in Portugal. It was an arid land in the desert region of Portugal along the coast where the animals in this area were dying and being killed by the farmers because they didn't have enough to feed them. There was so much drought. There was no water. In 5 years, one community with hundreds of acres and very, very simple machinery, and a lot by hand, worked with water systems, working with earthworks, reforming the land to catch the water in a very natural way. There were no linings to hold the water. It was recesses in the earth to let the water land and absorb into the earth so that the earth could replenish itself. I've never been to a landscape that moved me to tears. And when I went to this place, I started crying because I knew there is hope. And I've lost hope along the way. I'm a very optimistic person. But in this place, I just was moved to tears. I was like, we can do this. We can do this. It took them 5 years. And this land is dripping with food. And it's because a collective of a few hundred people turned their attention and their care to the land as lover. And I think that's a really important thing in talking about empathy. It's how present can we get with ourselves, with each other, with the land, and there's also something to say for grief. The corporate giants, what will it take for them to turn around? I mean, I have this imagination I go to sometimes around the offspring of Bill Gates and some of the others, that our collective prayer can touch their hearts, and that they'll wake up also and be part of this orchestra that we can create together, this balanced symphony.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janell. Yes, it's difficult to applaud after that. We will move to a little video every evening for the place to breathe. We've got a testimony from Laure Noala. Okay, the regies. Bridget Kyoto, she's a French journalist, and she takes humor to get the message go through differently. And so she did a text tonight concerning the message of reconnecting human and earth and nature. It's humor, so you will see.
Said wealth, health, and happiness. Wealth means well-being. That's happiness. Health means being whole. That's happiness. We've reduced wealth to money, which it is not. We've reduced health to pharmaceuticals. And, I work with the government of Bhutan, which said we won't measure GDP. We're going to work towards maximizing the happiness and well-being of our people. So they work on gross national happiness. That's their planning indicator. And in April next year, at our Earth University in Navdanya, we will be offering a course on Gandhi, nonviolence, and the creation of happiness with the people of Bhutan, Satish Kumar from the Schumacher College and Resurgence, and of course I'll be there. So any of you who would like to explore this discussion further, you're so welcome. Just go to the Navdanya website. And I really feel that we have been made to sacrifice our joys for becoming instruments of feeding an economy of trash.